Good morning. It is 9:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Just getting settled into the chair. I do this every morning. I open my Twitter account and I open the Super Text line. I get my notes up. And this morning, it just threw me through a loop. I open it up and some leftist is laughing at me on Twitter because Trump called Bill Lee a rhino on Truth Social. And I'm like, okay. So, didn't everybody think that? I thought that was the gist of the feeling. Like, he's done some things right, but I don't know. He's not really taking the main stage approach that he could as the governor of the great state of Tennessee. So, to the Tennessee holler who's saying, "Wow, Bill Lee's been kissing Trump's A nonstop for 8 years, and this is the thanks he gets." Okay. So I just wanted to address that real quick. Not a huge fan of Bill Lee. Is anybody? I mean, when I saw Bill Lee endorsing people, I'm like, do you want that one? Do you want that one? We do have quite a few rhinos in the great state of Tennessee, and quite a few rhinos won elections yesterday. I'm bummed that my buddy Chris Spencer lost his election. I think he deserved to win that. Low turnout. What can you do, right? But we move forward. We persist. There are some stories that we want to get to today, including the hostage release. Do you remember the hostages that are there? Joe Biden showed up to work yesterday, and he's bragging about getting all these hostages out. And I was actually just impressed that Joe Biden was at work. But Joe was he was taking his victory lap yesterday. You want to give me a little audio? Thank you, sir. This is Joe on his victory lap.
During the transition, I instructed our national security team to dig into all the cases of hostages being wrongfully detained, which were inherently, we inherited them from the prior administration.
Oh, we inherited the hostages from the prior administration. 2 of the 3 prisoners were taken after Trump left office. 2 of the 3. Gerskovich was arrested in 2023. So was Kermishva, and only Paul Whelan was arrested in 2018, convicted in June 2020 during Trump's presidency. So only one. You only inherited 1, Joe.
Remember, no serious guys till you're 30. God love you.
Yeah, that's Joe being creepy to one of the hostages' daughters. That's what he showed up to work to do yesterday. He can't get through one press conference without doing something weird. He also said he doesn't need to speak with Putin yesterday. This is Joe Biden's foreign policy.
And Putin about this, would you be willing to speak with Putin now directly?
I don't need to speak with Putin.
Okay, I don't need to speak with Putin. I'm happy that the hostages are home. I am. I think that we always want to see our hostages returned, but the victory lap from the Biden administration is kind of a joke. It's kind of a joke, and Joe, as he tends to do, made it all about himself.
And having lost family, not in a different way, and not knowing what's happening, the circumstance when they're accidental, help, it matters.
Mr. President, what did your...
Yeah, it matters. I've lost family, says Joe. Okay. This is about bringing people home. Joe makes it about himself. He's done this so many times. He did it in Lahaina with the wildfires. He's doing it again. Kamala Harris was also out there taking a victory lap. Have you seen the video of this? If you ever want to know how a person is, watch how they interact with their staff. Kamala Harris sat in a car for about 30 minutes and, probably rehearsing her remarks, which she ended up reading anyway for about 2 minutes. But as she gets out of the car, she just slaps an advisor with her phone. Doesn't even make eye contact and keeps moving. It's like, lousy person. Biden said Trump should have freed the hostages while president.
President Trump has said repeatedly that he could have gotten the hostages out without giving anything in exchange. What do you say to that? What do you say to President Trump now, former president?
Why didn't he do it when he was president?
Sir, what did you
Why didn't he do it when he was president? Again, 2 out of the 3 were after Trump's presidency. So that's a big reason why. Joe. I also will point out, and maybe I'm the only one that remembers this, but it immediately jumped into my mind yesterday when we were watching the hostage release and watching the press conference from Joe Biden and the Kamala Harris comments. I'm like, Didn't Trump mention something about hostages at the RNC?
And the entire world, I tell you this, we want our hostages back, and they better be back before I assume office, or you will be paying a very big price.
Yeah, I remember that. That was one of the first things that jumped into my mind. Are they releasing the hostages because they're worried what happens when Trump gets back in office? Maybe. I'd be nervous. You know, Trump actually strikes fear into the hearts of our enemies. Joe Biden doesn't. Kamala Harris definitely does not. And a lot of people are pointing out that this is just to distract from the 9/11 organizer plea deal that was released yesterday, which is a huge joke. You know, the Biden administration didn't take any credit for that. They said we had nothing to do with that. But the 9/11 architect and the co-conspirators, well, they got a sweet plea deal. They're going to plead guilty to murder in exchange for removal of the death penalty. And maybe I'm old school. I was like, why are these guys still alive? Why are they still alive? Weird. If you haven't been following this, the 3 terrorists that were being held at Guantanamo Bay, including the accused mastermind of the September 11th attacks, made a deal with prosecutors to avoid the death penalty. And they've instead been charged with the murder of the 2,976 people that died. A spokesperson for the Office of Military Commissions confirmed to the New York Post that it had entered into pretrial agreements with Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, Walid Mohammed Salik Mubarak bin Atash, and Mustafa Ahmed Adem al-Hawasi. I think I actually did a pretty good job on those names, full disclosure. Khalid was the accused mastermind of the deadly 9/11 attacks that took almost 3,000 lives. The 2 other terrorists and Khalid had been held at Guantanamo since 2003. A letter signed by Admiral Aaron C. Rue, chief prosecutor for the OMC, was sent to the victims' families on Wednesday and read, in exchange for removal of the death penalty as a possible punishment, these 3 accused have agreed to plead guilty to all of the charged offenses. I'm sure the families feel pretty good about that. Karine Jean-Pierre was asked about the 9/11 organizer plea deal, which is being buried in the news cycle underneath the hostage release, but she was asked about it firsthand.
Does he have a message to some of the 9/11 families who wanted to see a full trial, who wanted to see this kind of come to a fuller process?
So look, this is basically what Jake said. This is something that we had no involvement in. He didn't have any involvement in.
It's convenient, right? They're there to take credit, but they're never there to take blame.
And so the White House played no role in this process, and the president directed his team to consult as appropriate with officials and lawyers and Department of Defense, obviously. We have said this before. We are. Our hearts go out to the families who lost the loved ones on that day, and the president on 9/11 has honored them every year, and the families who lost their loved one on that terrible day.
Every year except last year, where Joe Biden was not there for the 9/11 ceremonies. Don't worry though. Don't worry. The terrorists are agreeing in the plea deal to respond to any questions the family members of the victims have about their role and reasons for planning the attack. As if that is some sort of, consolation prize. The family members are able to submit questions to the suspect's defense attorneys and get answers within 90 days. So, when their mom, dad, loved ones, brothers, sisters, kids aren't there at home and aren't there around the holidays, don't worry. You can at least ask the terrorists why. You can ask them why. That's nice, right? Makes you feel good. What a joke. What an absolute clown show America has become under the Biden-Harris administration. What an absolute clown show. It's disappointing, but it's not shocking. It's not shocking at all. I mean, heck, under Biden-Harris, we're letting even more terrorists into this country, and I know I'm not the only one. I've been waiting for the other shoe to drop on a terrorist attack in this country since the border has become such a chaotic situation. And we know we have special interest aliens. We know that we have terrorists coming across our border. And then they get busted doing things like, I don't know, trying to break into Marine bases, and then they get to walk free on bail. Did you hear this story? The Jordanian illegal aliens who tried to breach the Marine base, they're free. They're free. The story's from Virginia back in May. 2 Jordanian illegal aliens tried to breach a Marine Corps base in Virginia. And they were allowed to post bail and walk free, according to a report from the New York Post. They said that Hassan Youssef Hamdan, 32, and Mohammed Khair Dabous, 28, were released from immigration and customs enforcement detention, despite both being in the United States illegally. So even though you tried to break into a Marine Corps base in Virginia, even though you're in the country illegally, hey, this is your court date. Please come back. Please come back. Hamdan entered the country illegally through the southern border in April. He was detained and released due to a lack of detention space. Federal law enforcement sources told the New York Post. Dabou overstayed his student visa, law enforcement sources told the outlet, and they were arrested on May 3rd when they tried to breach the Marine Corps base in Quantico in a box truck, claiming they were Amazon subcontractors. So we're letting terrorists off the hook, and then we're letting illegal aliens who could be terrorists walk free in the country every single day. Part and parcel of the Biden-Harris administration. According to the Post, it's still not clear why they were trying to enter the base, which is not just a major Marine Corps base, but also home to the FBI Academy, FBI Laboratory, and a Defense Intelligence Agency facility. They posted bond set at $15,000 for Hamdan, and Dabou posted a bond set at $10,000. And they were released in early June. Doesn't it make you feel so good to know that behind the scenes, the people in charge are really, really working hard to keep you and your family safe? I know, gives me reassurance too. According to the report, they were charged with misdemeanor trespassing on military property. They were released on the condition that they show up to court for their immigration proceedings and stay away from Quantico or other military bases. I can only imagine in that demand that they stay away from other military bases, they asked really, really nicely and said, please. This is just a huge joke. So 9/11 mastermind, plea deal, no murder. Don't worry. Victims can ask him questions. Illegal aliens that try to break into Marine Corps bases, don't worry. $15,000 bond, $10,000 bond. Please, 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 please don't go near any more military bases. Now, the mainstream media isn't going to cover either of those stories. The mainstream media is going to perpetuate the victory lap of the Biden-Harris administration on the release of the hostages from Russia. And while I'm glad that they're home, I'm happy that they're home, I have to believe that Joe Biden had nothing to do with it. Nothing. And again, I go back to this.
And the entire world, I tell you this, we want our hostages back, and they better be back before I assume office, or you will be paying a very big price.
It's 9:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at USS, United Structural Systems. They are your experts in waterproofing and foundation repair for your home, and they've been doing it for a while, since 1994. 25,000 satisfied customers. Well, right now, with back to school happening, they have a fantastic promotion going on at USS, and you get 10% off any job over $2,500. That's right. 10% off any job over $2,500 for the month of August. It's their back to school special. Same as cash options available for financing with no payment, no interest within a year with approved credit. And this deal, does end August 30th. It can't be combined with any other coupon or previously discounted quotes, but you call those guys at USS. They'll come through. They'll give you a free inspection, and they'll help you with whatever you need, whether it's foundation repair, basement waterproofing, crawl space repair or full encapsulation, mold treatment, or concrete leveling. They do it all, and they've been doing it for a long time. They won't leave until the job is done and you're satisfied. And when they do leave, they'll leave a warranty that is good for life. Even if you leave the home, the warranty, they're so confident in it, the warranty will stay. Call USS today. You will not be disappointed. 615-488-7855. That's 615-488-7855. And everything you need to know is always online at USSTN.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
A deadly incident involving Memphis police. We've got details on that. Also, a weaker than expected jobs report coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance has been busy. He's been busy. He's actually working. He went to the border yesterday, and he also commented on that 9/11 plea deal. He said, we need a president who kills terrorists, not negotiate with them. Amen. I did have one person on the Members Nutrition text line playing devil's advocate, and they said, why kill them and end their suffering instead of just leaving them in Guantanamo Bay? And I said, well, why pay for them to live when we're $35 trillion in debt?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that they were even alive for this long. Like we were talking off air, like they should have been dead the moment we saw them, or at least a month from that point.
Quick trials, speedy executions. That's how we should be dealing with terrorists. J.D. Vance tends to agree. He ripped the plea deal. A spokesperson for the Office of the Military Commission who's prosecuting those cases against the alleged mastermind and his accused co-conspirators confirmed to the New York Post that they entered that plea deal, as we covered a moment ago. And it's wild. It's wild. J.D. Vance said, we need a president who kills terrorists, not negotiate with them. Just today, I heard the Biden-Harris Department of Justice cut a deal with al-Qaeda terrorist Khalid Sheikh Mohammed to avoid the death penalty. As someone who enlisted in the Marines to serve after 9/11, that is ridiculous, but it's not surprising. He went on to rip Joe Biden and Kamala Harris by name. He did incorrectly identify the DOJ as the prosecuting agency, but that's fine. He said, just think about the point we've gotten to. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have weaponized the DOJ to go after their political opponents, but they're cutting sweetheart deals with the 9/11 terrorists. We need a president who kills terrorists, not negotiate with them. J.D. Vance is absolutely right, and he was absolutely right yesterday while he was down on the border. He was asked by CNN about the Trump-Kamala Indian comments, and J.D. Vance puts on a masterclass dealing with CNN.
The former president's comments yesterday to the National Association of Black Journalists, where he said that Vice President Harris is, quote, all of a sudden black. As a father of 3 biracial children, did those comments give you pause at all?
They don't give me pause at all. Look, all he said is that Kamala Harris is a chameleon. She goes to Georgia 2 days ago. She was raised in Canada. She puts on a fake Southern accent.
Yep.
She is everything to everybody, and she pretends to be somebody different depending on which audience she's in front of. I think it's totally reasonable for the president to call that out, and that's all he did. I mean, look, she's running as a tough-on-crime prosecutor, even though she implemented open border policies. She's saying that she wants to support the police, yet she wanted to defund the police just 3 years ago. It's totally reasonable to call out the fact that she pretends to be somebody different depending on the audience she's talking to.
Absolutely right. There's been a lot of reaction from those comments yesterday that Donald Trump made about Kamala Harris at the NABJ. We'll cover those comments. And believe it or not, MSNBC feels a completely different way than a lot of black voters in America feel. I'll play both of those cuts, plus the reaction from Karine Jean-Pierre yesterday at the press briefing after Ken Weaver's newscast on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
9:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Excessive heat and humidity again. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, a Memphis police officer has died. Another is in critical condition after a squad car was involved in a crash with a driver who had been suffering from a gunshot wound. This happening in downtown Memphis this morning. Both the officer and that driver died. The Labor Department releasing the latest jobs report. Signs point to a cooling economy. Alexis Christoforous.
This was definitely a weaker than expected jobs report. We did add jobs last month, 114,000, but we were expecting to add 185,000. The unemployment rate ticked up from 4.1% to 4.3%.
And the 3 Americans wrongly detained in Russia arriving safely in Texas to begin the next phase of their journey following a massive multi-nation prisoner swap. Mary Bruce.
The 3 Americans wrongfully detained in Russia arriving safely in Texas to begin the next phase of their journey.
I'm glad I'm home. Yeah. I'm never going back there again.
The 3 now set to undergo medical evaluations after being in Russian custody, some for months, others for years.
That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
I started work in the early 60s, and Tennessee had a deer stalking program already in place going, primarily from Clarksville Base within the Fort Campbell area. From that area, a lot of deer were stalked in Middle and West Tennessee, and then later on, we started taking deer from those areas and stalking other areas. So it was a progression. It moved pretty fast. The deer sometimes were faster than the stalkers were.
I bet that was pretty exciting, trying to trap those deer and move them and know that you're making a huge impact.
Well, we wasn't all that confident.
Oh, really?
Because a lot of the counties had dog problems. You know, they'd be wanting to dog the deer, and it didn't hold up under that kind of pressure. And we had to go back in and restock. And there was a lot of different types of law enforcement work that had to be done.
I hear you.
And the officers did a good job. And we talked to a lot of the judges, and they clamped down pretty hard on somebody poaching deer out there. Back then, we only put out 15 or 20 deer. It was critical. In fact, at that time, it could cost you your truck.
Yeah. It's an amazing success story. You hear folks saying, well, we didn't see a deer when I was a kid, and now you just have to walk out your back door and you got in a subdivision grazing or driving down the interstate highways or whatever, you see a deer just about every day.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if we're too efficient.
Some folks say back in the good old days, but I don't know. Right now, hunting and fishing is really good.
Real leaders do not tear people down. They don't question someone's identity.
Oh, you mean like...
You have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black. Whoopsie daisy.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN 938. I'm Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram at Chris Hand on air. Everybody's in an uproar over the Donald Trump comments at the NAB. It's wild. I still think it was hilarious. These are the comments that have been going viral.
You believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always
But you know
identified
what?
as a black woman.
I
She went to a
respect
historically
either
black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe
I think somebody should look into that too when you ask continue in a very hostile...
Yeah, I think somebody should ask her that, he says. The comments went viral. I thought they were hilarious. And J.D. Vance pointed out to CNN yesterday, he's commenting on the fact that she's a chameleon and she puts on fake accents depending on where she is, and she leans into different aspects of her culture and her identity to be in a crowd with those people. You know, she was very Southern in Georgia. She was very Indian when she was running for senator of California. She's very black as the first female vice president. It's hot sauce in the purse pandering. That's what we're seeing with Kamala Harris. Now, you can understand that from those comments. The mainstream media doesn't want the people that watch them to understand that from those comments. They want you to think that Donald Trump is an evil, evil racist. And I pointed this out yesterday. All the names they're calling him. They've called him that already. Nothing is new. Nothing's new with the names that they're calling Donald Trump. But the mainstream media, they've sunk their teeth into this as best they can. As best they can. MSNBC was one of those networks yesterday getting in on it and saying all sorts of things about Donald Trump.
Now that we're over the shock of what happened yesterday, because it was shocking even though you expected what was going to happen, what do you make of it? Mara, what was going on there? What was Donald Trump's goal and intent when he sat down at the NABJ?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I surely believe that he went with the intention of showing himself and his hardest core right-wing supporters that he is fully ready to put black people in their place, particularly black women.
Okay. He went there to put black people in their place, especially black women. Okay. That's quite the take, because, you know, the audience was, as you could imagine, at the National Association of Black Journalists, the audience was majority black. The audience was majority behind him, laughing, clapping, cheering. But yeah, no, he went there to put black people in their place. Okay.
You know, I think as weird as this was to some people, it's not weird to me, it's familiar. Right. I think for a lot of black Americans, the experience of somebody saying to you, a white person saying to you, oh, you think you can be fully American? You think you deserve this job? You're just a DEI hire. You don't belong here. Uppity, whatever you want to kind of go there with. So that's really what this was about.
No, that's what it was. That's what it was about. It's about putting black people in their place. Okay. I think that the voters in America don't watch MSNBC for the most part, and I think they understand that this is all just an attack against Donald Trump, and they're continuing the same attack. He's an evil racist. But what are people saying on the internet? And I went looking for it, and it wasn't hard to find. In fact, there was more that I left on the editing room floor than I have here for you today. But black voters, they were responding to those comments.
Good evening there, TikTok.
Did anybody see President Donald Trump at the National Association of Black Journalists? All I got to say is, if you step in the ring with President Donald John Trump, you better have your ducks in a row, because Donald Trump is a major savage, not to be played with, not to be taken for granted. It's like Kamala Harris. All of a sudden she Indian, now she's black. I'm just wondering which one she was, Indian or black. Now she's black.
There's so many videos like this. One guy had probably the best take yesterday from that Trump interview that I've heard. And, you know, he makes the point. People invited Trump and Harris. Trump showed up. And instead of asking Donald Trump what he's going to do for the black community, they opened up the line of questioning with, "You're an evil, racist bigot. Your thoughts, sir." And this gentleman here is saying that's a missed opportunity. This is a black voter in America, and I've seen tons of videos like this.
So many missed opportunities when it comes to black people doing the ask from politicians. And we sit back and wonder why we don't got nothing, because we don't ask. So how does the National Association of Black Journalists invite Kamala Harris and invite Trump to a pretty much town hall roundtable type discussion? Kamala does not show, doesn't even reply yes. Trump replies yes, he shows up. And instead of the committee taking the time to ask questions to Trump about what his policies are for black America, what he plans on doing this time around for black America, and giving him the opportunity to speak his piece, they attacked him.
Yeah, it was a hit job. From the moment Donald Trump sat down in that chair, they hit him with question after question, looking for those clippable moments where they could push a new hoax and say, look, they wanted another bloodbath hoax. They wanted another very fine people hoax. And the only thing they got out of it was the Kamala Harris, is she Indian or is she black, which is hilarious. That's all they got out of it, because every other question, whether it was on J6 protesters or the like, Trump didn't take the bait. He didn't take the bait. There was nothing that they could use against him. But they didn't ask him questions that actually black voters want to know, which is a disservice that the NABJ did to the black community.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. How was that beneficial? Instead of sitting back saying, hey, last time in 2020, you had something called the Platinum Plan.
Yep.
What is your goal this time?
Yep.
Nope. It started late and then spent 30 minutes trying to get him roused up for clickbait instead of allowing it to be a situation where he can come in and explain his policies and what he thinks he's going to do for the black community to earn the black vote. Another failed, missed opportunity. But yet, we sit around praising these people for what? Doing us an injustice.
All over TikTok. People, just like that guy, speaking just like that. They just did us an injustice. You have an opportunity where you can get him on policy. You can talk about his positions. You can talk about the Platinum Plus plan. You can talk about opportunity zones. You can talk about all these sorts of things. They didn't ask him those questions. They didn't want to ask him those questions. And to this gentleman's point, Kamala Harris was invited and she didn't even show up. She didn't even show up. I mean, that's not the only one. There's so many more of these guys. They're all over the internet.
Y'all getting mad at Trump because he said Kamala not black. But when Amber Rose spoke at the RNC, y'all said she can't represent us because she's not black.
Weird. Many such cases. Karine Jean-Pierre, at her press briefing yesterday, she wanted to make sure everybody know that you can't talk the way Donald Trump talks.
Real leaders do not tear people down. They don't question someone's identity.
Yeah, okay. And that's why I made that rejoin with Joe Biden. Remember this? Real leaders?
Problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Weird. I thought real leaders didn't question people's identity.
And that got swept under the rug, him saying that.
Oh, yeah. This is what happens. This is what happens. Many such cases. And they won't highlight any of the good he's done. Nope. I could honestly spend the entire show playing audio from black voters, black Americans, talking about why Trump was right at the NABJ.
And I ain't a liberal, so I can tell you why I'm going to do something, okay? The reason I'm going to vote Trump 2024 is because one main reason. This man getting the people treatment. He's getting the people treatment. He ain't getting treated like a billionaire. He ain't getting treated like a president. He ain't getting treated like a politician. He's getting treated like me. He's getting treated like me. And the people that I despise, the elites, the people that don't answer to the same law that I answer to, the people that can literally bat an eye and say, hey, make that disappear from me, and it's gone, the people that never get challenged on the disrespectful BS that they commit every single day, I can't stand. But this man's getting popped for things commoners don't even get popped for. This man is under scrutiny more than a black man downtown Compton with a bag of good in his pocket.
You know, it's hard to disagree. Although I think the bags of good are now legal in Compton. I will fact check that.
This man is being sent through a sifter so fine that they're checking what type of toilet paper he uses to make sure there's nothing illegal in it.
Where's the lie? Where's the lie? Joy Reid was also just so upset. You know, Joy Reid, nobody watches her show, but we see the clips of the insanity. And Joy Reid was also upset. She doesn't understand that Trump is getting the people treatment. She wants to cut this guy down.
I also just want to say one quick thing about this invitation to the president and board of NABJ. Y'all got played. Donald Trump showed up at the convention for exactly 3 reasons. 1, to try to dispel the notion that he's scared to debate a black woman, a presumption one can draw from his refusal to commit to debating VP Harris, who, again, for those in the back, is a black and Asian woman.
Okay. He's scared. You know, it's the debate thing is hilarious because it was a debate he agreed to with Joe Biden, and Joe Biden's no longer the candidate. So Donald Trump said, I'll wait until you have a nominee, and then we can set up a debate. He backed out. Okay. That's Joy Reid for you.
It's also why he lost it like a grumbly senior at the retirement home who didn't get his Jell-O dessert when ABC's Rachel Scott challenged him to answer basic questions.
Was he challenged to answer basic questions at the NAB? Are these the basic questions that Joy Reid is talking about?
You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Just basic questions. You're a rabid, racist bigot. Your thoughts, sir? Trump couldn't even answer basic questions. He couldn't even answer them.
First of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you?
Nope, nothing like that. It's 9:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friend Paul Winkler and the guys over at Paul Winkler Inc. Just had a meeting with Paul and his team yesterday. Me and my wife, we're diversifying. You got to diversify. Paul helped me figure out how to do that. I'm grateful for that. Paul can always break things down for me in a way that I can understand. He can do the exact same thing for you. You probably already know Paul. He hosts the Investor Coaching Show. We run it every Saturday here from 3 to 6 on WTN. Appointment listening. Check out tomorrow's show. Paul was telling me he's got a banger lined up. But you may not know that he didn't start that show until he spent time studying under an economist who went on to win a Nobel Prize. That's how Paul cut his teeth in the industry. So my wife and I work with Paul. We love Paul. Every time we meet with Paul, we learn something new. And the reason we work with Paul is because Paul and his team hold themselves to the highest level of fiduciary status. They're looking out for us, and he's looking out for you. And because of that, he wants me to make sure I tell you I get paid to do the commercials. He wants the honesty, wants the transparency, but I don't get paid to be a client. I'm a client because I like that his team does nothing on commission. I'm a client because of the education they provide to me every time I have a question. I never have that uneasy feeling of blind trust, and I can always relax with my money when I'm dealing with Paul and his team. Talk to Paul and his team. They'll take a look at your whole financial picture, and then they'll start helping you make some decisions. Even if you already have a financial planner, talk to Paul and his team. Get a second opinion. Set up a 15-minute phone call today. You can set up that phone call at paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com.
Deadly incident involving Memphis police officers. A weaker than expected jobs report coming up at 10 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. It's 9:59 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram at Chris Hand on Air. A couple of the Super Texters were asking me to post some of those clips on my Twitter account, so I did. The black voters backing Trump. It's at Chris Hand on Air if you want to see the videos. Some of them are quite hilarious. Most of them are absolutely on point. On the way, I do want to cover J.D. Vance's visit to the border. He has been there now more times than our current vice president. Weird. Also, the weird comments. CNN and MSNBC said that Trump and J.D. Vance were weird a combined 300 times in a day. That's the new talking point. We'll discuss that as well. And Hillbilly Elegy making a resurgence on the New York Times bestseller list. We'll cover that and more. Hang out with us. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Ten o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, tracking excessive heat and humidity. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Hearts are heavy in the law enforcement community in Tennessee. Memphis police say they responded to a crash involving 3 people this morning, 2 cops and a driver of another car. One of the police officers and the other driver died. The other officer is in critical condition. Memphis police say the driver of the other car had been shot at another location before crashing with a patrol car. The latest jobs report is weaker than expected, and investors are reacting. Stocks are down about 2% in early trading on Wall Street as a result. Here's business reporter Alexis Christoforous.
This was definitely a weaker than expected jobs report. We did add jobs last month, 114,000, but we were expecting to add 185,000. The unemployment rate ticked up from 4.1% to 4.3%.
And Americans back home. Here's Sherry Preston.
The next phase of the journey has begun for the 3 Americans who were wrongfully detained in Russia. They are now at Brooke Army Medical Center near San Antonio, beginning the reintegration process. ABC's Maria Villarreal is there.
The program requires physical checkups, but it's primarily designed to help them decompress and meet with mental health experts. Now, WNBA star Brittany Griner also went through this program back in December of 2022 after her release from imprisonment in Russia. She released a statement saying, in part, "We are overwhelmed with joy and relief for the U.S. citizens who returned safely to the United States."
The swap involved 24 different people and had been in the works for months. The final agreement did not involve any money or favors, says National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan.
Nothing was offered to the Russians beyond the prisoners in this exchange. That's it. That's the only thing that was offered.
And that's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
10:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. Thanks for tuning in. You can listen to the show wherever you go with the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, the 99.7 WTN app. If you miss any of the show, the podcasts are always available on Apple and Spotify. And then you can find me off the air on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on Air. J.D. Vance went to the border yesterday. It was nice to see a politician go down there. You know, we've missed that under the Biden-Harris administration. They've ignored the southern border as best they could. And when they do go down, it's a sanitized visit and everything is cleaned up by the Democrats in power. So that way it looks nice. It looks nice for the photo ops. It looks clean. It doesn't look chaotic. J.D. Vance, on the other hand, gets down there yesterday and he says, actually, when you see the border in person, when you see it with your own eyes, it's even worse than you imagine. Even worse.
Look, Bob, thanks so much. And thanks to all of you guys for doing what you do. It's hard to believe until you see it with your own eyes just how bad the policies of the Kamala Harris administration have been when it comes to the southern border. They started their administration. Kamala Harris came into office making promises, and she kept those promises to open the American southern border. They stopped deportations on day one. They stopped construction of the border wall on day one. We see the border wall sitting here, ready to be completed behind us, and that can't happen because of Kamala Harris's administration. They reinstated catch and release, and they stopped remain in Mexico. So all of these asylum claimants who come to our border, they can now get released into our country because they're not forced to stay in Mexico while we adjudicate their asylum claims. And we have to remember that as terrible and idiotic as these policies were, they cause real human beings to suffer.
He's absolutely right. Real human beings are suffering because of the lack of attention to the southern border. I'll add a couple things to the list. They sued Texas to remove the floating buoy barrier in the Rio Grande. They sued Arizona to remove their shipping container wall that they put up themselves. They sued multiple states for wanting to be able to prosecute illegal immigrants and deport them at a state level. Over and over and over again, we've seen the Biden administration actively try to make the border less secure. There's no other way around it. No other way around it. They want an open border. They want the new voters. They're newcomers. Missouri Attorney General actually just won a case, though, and it's going to force the Biden-Harris regime to finish building Trump's border wall. Yeah, the lawsuits have failed time and time again, whether it's the buoy or the barriers, and this is another one. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey has successfully obtained a court order compelling the Biden regime to use congressionally appropriated funds to complete the southern border wall. Bailey announced this in a statement that the administration has decided not to appeal the ruling, which mandates the continuation of the border wall construction initially started under President Trump. He said, and I quote, "I obtained a court order forcing border czar Kamala Harris and Joe Biden to finish Trump's border wall. They decided not to appeal, making our win final. The rest of President Trump's border wall is going up because of this lawsuit." And that's good, but we've seen so much damage because of this. It still feels like it's a little too late. It still feels like to fix this, we're going to need these mass deportations. And if Kamala Harris wins the presidency, we're not going to get mass deportations. We're going to get mass amnesty. This lawsuit from the Missouri AG dates back to 2020. And in 2020, Congress allocated $1.4 billion specifically for construction of barriers along the southern border. The legislation stipulated that funds should only be available for construction of barrier systems along the southwest border. And despite this, the Biden administration decided not to use that money, citing policy differences between their administration and the previous one. Yeah, I mean, the policy difference is we want to import new voters and the Republicans don't. That's the policy difference. In response to that, Missouri, along with Texas, filed this lawsuit challenging the administration's refusal to allocate the funds. The Biden administration argued that Bailey lacked standing to bring the case, but the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled in favor, allowing the lawsuit to proceed. With the Biden administration's decision not to appeal, the court order stands, ensuring continuation of the border wall construction. This is good. This is good, but it's still pretty late. And as J.D. Vance put it yesterday, down at the southern border, when you look at what the Biden-Harris regime has done, it's insane, because securing the border it shouldn't be rocket science.
What President Trump and I promise to the American people is very simple. This is not rocket science. It is not hard to secure the southern border. You just have to re-implement some common sense policies. You've got to re-implement Remain in Mexico. You've got to stop catch and release. You've got to force the asylum seekers to stay in Mexico while their claims are being adjudicated. And you've got to finish this border wall and re-implement deportations. If people can come into this country and they know they're never going to be deported, you effectively have an open border. That's what Kamala Harris promised. That's what Kamala Harris did. And Donald Trump and I promised to do exactly the opposite.
But JD, migration numbers are down, they tell us. 20. So July was the lowest number since September of 2020. That's according to leaked preliminary Customs and Border Protection data. CBS allowed Biden's pro-migration border chief to take credit, even as Kamala Harris claims campaigns for the White House. She said, this is a product of a number of actions this administration has taken. Alejandro Mayorkas said in an interview with CBS News this week, those actions, Mayorkas noted, the president's executive action, which restricted asylum between ports of entry, cutting out the smugglers. Well, okay. Mayorkas went on to say, despite a bipartisan proposal, Congress failed to act. We've heard that song and dance. But the report admitted in the 5th paragraph that those July figures do not include entries at official border crossings, otherwise known as ports of entry. They were only talking about non-official ports of entry. But as you know, the Biden administration is processing roughly 1,500 migrants per day through their CBP-1 phone app that distributes appointments to those waiting in Mexico. So the inflow of 1,500 illegal aliens per day is roughly 45,000 a month or 500,000 per year or 2 million in a presidential term. And those migrants are admitted via Mayorkas's and Biden and Harris's CBP-1 cell phone app. That inflow is legally contested, but Mayorkas recently suggested that he has the legal authority to raise the CB1 app inflow, regardless of the civic and pocketbook impact on Americans. So the CBS report buried the monthly airport arrival also. It's roughly every month, we're having 40,000 additional economic migrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela. So they didn't highlight that in the CBS report. It's described as a legal humanitarian parole inflow. That inflow is mentioned in the 16th paragraph of the report, but without any numbers or mentions of pending lawsuits. The addition of the CBP-1 app and the CHNV migrants bring the White House monthly inflow from 56,000 to roughly 150,000, or about 3 times what Donald Trump was doing in September of 2020. So they'll fudge the numbers, they'll fudge the statistics, and they'll try and make it look good. But if we're adding monthly 140,000, 150,000, we're looking at almost 1.7 million each year. Or if you like it this way, twice the number of legal immigrants set by Congress each year. Twice the number. And this doesn't even count the illegal aliens who are sneaking across the border, the ones who don't encounter Border Patrol, the ones who get away. And I've said it a few times. You've heard me say before, I talked with Tom Homan in person. The cartels charge 2 different amounts. They charge you an amount if you want to be apprehended. They charge you a larger amount if you don't want to be apprehended. And I think the cartels are pretty good at it at this point. So how many haven't been apprehended? There's no way we can get a realistic eye on what the numbers are. We just can't. It's in the millions under Joe Biden. It's disgusting. And Americans are dying. Enough fentanyl has come through our southern border while Joe Biden's been president to kill 14 billion people. So I'll say it again. Enough fentanyl has come through our southern border under Joe Biden to kill 14 billion people. Kids are dying because of this southern border.
Because when you take fentanyl, you don't wake up. It takes your life. So there are a lot of kids out there who have been deprived of second chances with their moms and dads. There are a lot of moms and dads out there who will never see their kids walk down the aisle because of what Kamala Harris has unleashed at this border. The human toll of this is the thing that we cannot forget. We have got kids who can't learn in schools because their kids have been overwhelmed with migrant children who shouldn't be there. We've got hospitals where the wait times have exploded because illegal aliens are standing in front of the line of American citizens. The media needs to tell the truth, and Kamala Harris needs to change course on this crazy border mess, or the people who suffer the most are the people who can least afford to suffer.
He's right, but the media is not going to change course, as that CBS report shows. They're just going to fudge the numbers and try and make it look good for the regime. We've lost an entire generation of Americans because of the fentanyl and the drugs that are pouring over our southern border. You go to downtown Philadelphia, you go to Keswick, man, it looks like a zombie apocalypse. This is America. And the amount of money that we're paying in taxes while we're $35 trillion in debt, every city should look like Dubai, let's be perfectly honest. Every single city, but it doesn't. Our cities and our downtown areas look like third world countries. Nashville's not exempt from this. You walk down Broadway, it reeks of urine, and you see homeless people everywhere, high on the drugs that are coming across the southern border. We've lost a generation. I'm convinced. And I know so many people from back home where I grew up that have fallen prey to these drugs and overdosed and died, too many to list. But you know that too. You know these people also. The human element needs to be discussed more. Kids are dying, families are being destroyed, and we haven't even gotten to the actual crime that is happening with illegal aliens raping and murdering and torturing American citizens. Kamala Harris had the audacity in Georgia to say that she would put her record up against Donald Trump's any day of the week, especially immigration. Especially immigration. While she's in the state of Laken Riley, who was raped, murdered, tortured. These people have no soul. And they'll continue to lie. They'll continue to lie about Kamala Harris being in charge of the border. They'll continue to tell you it's not a big deal.
Media lies about Kamala Harris being the border czar. Here is what you're lying about. You cannot have an effective border policy unless you have somebody who is coordinating all the different agencies of the U.S. federal government. You need the State Department involved to send people back to their home countries. You need the Department of Justice involved to prosecute these terrible drug crimes. And of course, you need DHS involved so that the Border Patrol is empowered to do their job. Kamala Harris, as border czar, was asked to coordinate all these functions of government, and she's done nothing.
Yep.
Every time I ask these guys, and I even asked, Brandon, Paul, let's play devil's advocate here. Tell me, has Kamala Harris done anything you've asked her to do? She is the border czar. Has your border czar done anything you've asked her to do? And the answer is no. They send letters, they make phone calls, they are begging the American president and vice president for leadership, and their own border czar ignores them. That is a scandal, that is a disgrace, and to every American watching this, it will stop, but only if you elect Donald J. Trump president in just a few months. God bless you guys. Thank you for being here.
He's absolutely right. It will stop if we elect Donald Trump as president. I'm convinced. I'm convinced. And people need to wake up and realize it. There's a new ad out, Catholic Vote. They've put out this ad hammering Harris over the rape and murder of an 11-year-old migrant girl in Texas by an illegal alien. The ad, which marks the beginning of Catholic Vote's six-figure campaign in the border state of Arizona, focuses on the horrific rape and murder of an 11-year-old in August of 2023. I mean, the captions, the ad doesn't do it justice to play on the radio because it's all captions and pictures, and it's super sad. It says raped, strangled to death. That's what the captions read at the beginning of the video, with a photograph of this sweet 11-year-old girl serving as a backdrop. And it says the murderer, an illegal alien, released by the Biden-Harris administration. An image of Harris, who Biden placed in charge of heading up the root causes of migration and appointed her as the border czar. It says efforts with Mexico and the Northern Triangle and the countries that need help in stemming the migration to our southern border. That comes into frame. And the media will gaslight you, and they'll say Kamala Harris was never the border czar.
I've asked her, the VP, today, because she's the most qualified person to do it, to lead our efforts with Mexico and the Northern Triangle and the countries that are going to need help in stemming the movement of so many folks stemming the migration to our southern border.
In that ad, there's an accompanying caption that says, in charge of the border for 3 years. And then the ad concludes, protect the vulnerable, not the votes. See, but that's the biggest thing. The Democrats don't care about the vulnerable. They care about the votes. They care about the power. That's what this has always been about. They are reimagining what our elections are going to look like, and they're eyeballing mass amnesty. That's what they're looking at. Brandon Judd, who's the head of the Border Patrol Union, was at a Trump rally just the other week, and he had this to say.
Kamala Harris knows what she needs to do. I was there. I gave her all of the policies that she needed, all of them, and she refused to implement them. She does not care about you. She does not care about the safety of this country. He does. This is the man for the presidency.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Still working to get more information after Memphis police officers were involved in a deadly crash this morning. Stocks are tanking on this new jobs report coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Does that mean that the Biden-Harris economy is working?
Middle from the biddle, baby.
Middle from the biddle. Classic callback. I like it. Sometimes you got to middle from the biddle.
That's what you got to do sometimes, Brother Chris.
In the Biden-Harris economy, I've always been reassured that rich folks are going to do good and poor people, well, they'll have a shot.
Right. Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention. Got a crash. This one is delaying people big time. It's kind of like that time I said it's bad.
Oh, no.
This was 24 eastbound right before Harding Place. Looks like the two right lanes are blocked. It's a 43-minute delay in Antioch.
Oh, my gosh. So just a callback. One time Ken Weaver comes on the air for his news tease, and the first thing he says is, "It's bad." And I'm like, oh, my gosh. What happened? I'm like frantically like jumping on the internet, be like, what happened? Like something must have happened. It was just a delay on that.
Yeah, I stubbed my toe. I'm sorry. It was a bad stub.
That was maybe one of the funniest moments in a news tease history. I was like, oh my gosh. It's like, well, tell us, Ken, if it's that bad.
Well, you'll have to wait.
All right.
For 3 minutes.
We got that coming up for you. Ken Weaver is always breaking down the latest bad news in the newscast on WTN. We were talking about fentanyl coming over the southern border, and I got a text from 4565. He said, "Quit with the fentanyl boogeyman. Anyone stupid enough to use illegal drugs in the first place isn't going to vote Republican anyway. The issue is the enemy combatants flooding our border. Focus on that and let the fentanyl be the Darwin it's designed to be. The solution to fentanyl is the same as AIDS. Quit doing stupid stuff. FAFO." And I pointed out to 4565. Yeah, good point. Let's let the fentanyl keep flowing into our country. Hashtag sarcasm. And if you're not using illicit drugs, like that's awesome. I don't think you should. But to say that the fentanyl is only affecting users is just naive at best. The fentanyl coming across our southern border is affecting everyday Americans, whether you use it or not, because the junkies need their next fix. And they're breaking into your car. They're breaking into your home. They're sticking up your mom. They're destroying downtown areas and cities across the country. And when those downtown areas are filled with fentanyl junkies who are slowly dying on the streets, well, do you think people want to go into the businesses on those streets? Do you think people want to rent hotels on those streets? The ripple effect couldn't be larger from the fentanyl that's coming across our southern border. And I think it's absolutely naive to say, oh, well, those junkies get what they deserve. It's not just affecting the junkies, dude. It's affecting all of us. It's affecting all of us. So miss me with that. I don't. I like 4565. He texts a lot, and I don't mean to get heated at him, but there is so much more to it rippling out. It's really naive to say, well, let the junkies F around and find out. It's like, okay, well, what if they decide they need a fix and they're breaking into your home at 3 a.m.? Seriously, this is what happens with drug users. It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$10:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We'll tell you about this excessive heat and humidity and the weekend forecast coming up in 2 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, Memphis police say they responded to a crash this morning involving 3 people, 2 cops in a patrol car and the driver of another car. One of the officers and the driver of the other car are dead. The other officer is in critical condition. It turns out the driver of the other car had been shot somewhere. Memphis police are investigating. Stocks are sharply lower on the heels of a weaker than expected July jobs report showing 114,000 jobs created instead of 185,000 predicted. The unemployment rate is highest it's been in almost 3 years. And the federal government going after retailers for high grocery prices. Federal Trade Commission Chair Lena Khan says The new strike force on unfair and illegal pricing is demanding that some of the biggest retailers like Walmart, Costco, and Target open up their books and justify what she says are their soaring profits in the face of rising costs on consumers. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
.35 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The super texts are flowing in when it comes to fentanyl. So just to recap, I was talking about the southern border, all the fentanyl pouring in and how dangerous it is. And I got a text from 4565, and he said, Let fentanyl be the Darwin it's designed to be. If you F around, you find out. So I said, yeah, good point. Let's keep it flowing into the country. Sarcasm. What about the junkies that rob your home or break into your car? And I get a flood of texts where people are bringing up the baby that passed away at the Airbnb in Florida for crawling around on the floor and touching fentanyl. Was that baby effing around before it found out? And 4565 just responded to me again. He said, yes, I agree. Inside every junkie stealing stuff is a Reagan conservative just waiting to get out, dying to, actually. And I have to say, who cares who they vote for? Every life has inherent value in the eyes of God. And to just blanket it like, oh, yeah, you must be a liberal if you're using fentanyl. What if you were a construction worker that got injured on the job, was prescribed opioids by the medical industrial complex, developed a habit, lost your job, and now you're on the streets homeless? Do these lives not have inherent value? I'm of the opinion that these lives have inherent value. What about the kids who are accidentally smoking marijuana that's been laced with fentanyl at a party like every kid has done in this country since the 60s? Do they not have inherent value? Are they effing around and finding out? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I had a member of law enforcement shoot me a text. He said, we're carrying around multiple doses of Narcan on the shift due to exactly what I'm talking about. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. So, yeah, I would like fentanyl to stop coming across the border. Sorry. So I didn't realize that was a hot take. 4565. Kevin in Columbia wants to talk about immigration. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, Kevin?
Hey, Chris. I got a couple of different things. I just want to say I love talking to you. Love talking to Murphy. We have opposing views on a couple of different things. But first, I got 3 points if I can make them.
Make them. Let's hear it.
I'd like to hear a ratio. I'm an independent voter. I voted for Governor Lee, but I voted for Bredesen because I just don't like Blackburn. We see how that election turned out, but at least I was halfway right on it. But I'd like to know at this point the ratio of illegal immigrants that are rapists versus the Americans that are already here are rapists. And I know that the narrative has shifted, and I think that leads into my second point.
Well, hold on. Before you get to your second point, what ratio would be acceptable to you?
None. I don't like children. I'm a veteran. I fought to protect them. I fought to protect all of them.
And I appreciate your service. I would ask, how many illegal aliens? How many illegal aliens is enough? And how many illegal alien rapes are you willing to say? Well, that's okay because the ratio is fine.
I'm not willing to accept any of that, and I don't want to be misconstrued on my point that I was making with it. We seem to beat a drum on rapists and murderers when I hear stories all the time of Americans in other countries that commit crimes. There are bad apples among everybody. What I want is legal immigration. This country was founded on it. I think that instead of building border walls, we need to revamp the process. My stepmother is from Vietnam. My father remarried. So I personally, it took her 3 years to be able to come here. But you can ask her who the 14th president of the United States is, and she knows. And you tell me how many other Americans can tell you even who the 16th president of the United States was. So if you come here legally and you want to adapt to our culture, that's what America was founded on. And I fought to defend it. I swore to defend it. And that's where I stand with it.
But I think you bring up a good point. You have to adapt to the culture. How many illegal aliens do you think are coming here adapting to the culture?
And that is something that is definitely, the water is muddy because I've got about I've got about 14 different news stations that I follow from all over the place. I try not to listen to mainstream media. Try to draw my own conclusion, and that means that you have to be informed. I think that in today's world with the internet, it's easy to find information that fits any narrative. And I think that we need a way better educated electoral and a voting base to kind of move forward. Now, I'm just of the opinion that illegal alien crime should be 0% in this country because we shouldn't have any illegal immigration. I've never railed against legal immigration, and I'm not sure if that's the case you're making, but we have so many problems in this country. We're $35 trillion in debt, and we're allowing millions upon millions of illegal aliens to cross the border, and then we're putting them in hotel rooms. We're giving them debit cards for food so they can go to Chipotle, and we're allowing them to have free cell phones, and then you're having kids kicked out of school in New York City because it's too cold for the illegal aliens. Like, Chris,
it's insane.
Chris, I do not believe that there's any ratio or rationale behind crime, period. We are a law-abiding country. My point with that is that in order to, I want to hear about policies. And Trump very well might have had good immigration policies in place. What I want to hear now is how we're going to fix the border, because I'm 47 and I've heard this immigration issue ever since Carter.
I hear you, but I think you might not be listening. The fix is mass deportations, and the fix is finishing the border wall.
I'm opposed to the border wall. America doesn't build walls; we tear them down.
Why would you be opposed to a border wall? Do you lock your door on your house?
Well, no, I don't. But I live in Wayne County, and I live on 10 acres of wood that got nothing but Republicans all around me.
Would you be shocked if you went downstairs one day and you saw somebody sleeping on your couch?
Well, I mean, if we're talking hypotheticals, absolutely. But I'm a firm believer in castle law. I've been there for 4 years, never had a problem, never thought about it, never saw an illegal immigrant.
Okay, well, I don't know.
Please allow me to make 2 more points.
I'm really hung up. I'm really hung up on the fact that you don't want a border wall.
I don't. When I have touched a piece of the actual Berlin Wall, my daughter graduated.
This is not the Berlin Wall. It's not dividing a country. It's protecting ours.
Chris, please hear me out.
I'm trying to, but it's like I'm getting a little bit flustered, I think is the best word.
No, and I don't want that at all. I love talking to you guys, but I don't want to take up your time. But I got 2 more points, but let me elaborate on the Berlin Wall. My daughter graduated Fort Leonard Wood. They've got a piece of the Berlin Wall there. On one side of the wall, there's graffiti. Free people were able to go up and touch that wall. On the opposing wall, it's stone gray. Nobody could get within 40 yards of that wall. The free people won out. The graffiti won out. So I don't believe, I saw the wall come down. I saw it dismantled. Like I said, I was in high school. I've seen it come down, and I've seen communism, and I've seen Russia raise its head back again in my lifetime. I never thought I'd see it.
But I don't know how the Berlin Wall even relates to a border wall here when we have.
Because a wall is a wall. Are you building the wall to keep us in, or are you building the wall to keep people out?
Keep people out. We're building the wall to keep people out. Yes, okay. We are building the wall to keep people out. We have illegal aliens coming over here that are causing massive amounts of crime. There's a Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, that have issued a green light on police officers in Denver, Colorado. Like, this is insane. No. Kevin, I appreciate you listening, man.
This is your show, but let me say one thing on that topic. You didn't let me get my other 2 points, and I appreciate that. I did not call to fluster or frustrate anybody.
No. You're good. Kevin, you're good. And I appreciate you listening. You can listen all the time, man. You can call in whenever you want. I don't understand what the Berlin Wall has to do with a border wall with Mexico in 2024. Okay. I don't. I honestly, can I be perfectly frank with you? I could care less about the Berlin Wall.
No, but could I tell you why the two comparisons actually matter? And it goes. I'm a history buff, so this.
Tell me why the comparison matters, and then I'll give you my thoughts. Why does the comparison matter?
General Patton once said that fortified fixtures were a thing of the past. You can build a 20-foot wall.
No, General Patton would be lining troops up on the southern border if he saw what was going on down there. I appreciate the call, Kevin. That's a hot take. It's a hot take. So, that's a hot take.
Getting a hold of yourself there?
Yeah, General Patton would be pissed if he saw what was happening. DJ P in Smyrna, you're up next on Super Talk. What's up?
I gotta laugh, Chris. That guy was a joke. He's saying all that because he married I think it was a Vietnamese.
Oh, no, he said his stepmom was a legal immigrant. I don't want to make fun of Kevin. Like,
okay,
I don't get his point. I don't get his point one bit. But I don't want to dump on Kevin.
No, I don't want to dump him. But this is the problem that we're having. Okay, we have this mentality going on. Remember, I came here. I was born in a different country. My pops paid a lot of money doing the right thing, going to the U.S. Council and so forth. His stepmother did the right thing, too. That's what he's got to focus on. We got a slew of people coming into this country, which is not fair to me, to my grandmother, to my mother, everybody.
Amen.
Okay, so, and his stepmother did it the right way. And another thing, George Patton, like you said, would have lined up soldiers and tanks, okay, defend this country. And what the hell does Germany have to do with us? Okay, we got to defend our country. That's all I got to say.
Hey, I'm with you. I appreciate the call. It's I don't know. So many super texters are they're lining up. The Vatican has a wall. Heaven has a wall. Yeah, I don't care about the Berlin Wall. I don't think that those two are related in the slightest.
General Patton probably would have already invaded Mexico.
We'll take this, actually. You guys are doing a terrible job. We'll take it from here. You're probably right. General Patton. General Patton would have been pissed. Would have been pissed. I don't know, man. Try living in downtown Philadelphia and not locking your door, or downtown Chicago and not locking your door. Try living in New York City near some of these migrant shelters and hotels and not lock your door. Good luck. And here's the thing. Kevin said, well, he lives in Wayne County, right? Oh, he lives in Wayne County, so he doesn't have to lock his door. If that border stays open, that's going to change. So, I don't know. Phil in Lawrenceburg, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Phil?
Yes, I think I can explain why Kevin doesn't understand why we need the border wall.
Tell me.
My wife, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. My wife was in the hospital for months one time. She went septic and had most of her intestines removed and was in severe pain. And we went to see the doctor. Well, the doctor wasn't in, so a physician assistant had to see her. Well, the physician assistant didn't believe in pain medicine and wasn't going to prescribe her any. And I said, well, you can't just stop her for one, because she's been on pain medicine for, almost a year now. And I asked her, I said, well, have you ever been in any severe pain? I said, like, have you ever broke any bones or anything like that? She says, well, no. I said, so you don't understand what she's going through then. She says, well, I just don't believe in pain medicine. And I was trying to explain to her, I says, if you've ever been in severe pain, then you would understand. Mm-hmm. And she said, well, I don't believe in it. And I was probably wrong. I said, well, how about if I get up and break your arm, then I'll make you a believer.
Yeah.
And she says, well, I said, if you're ever in severe pain, then you would understand. Well, Kevin lives in a place where he just don't understand what's happening.
Yep. It's tough, man. People get stuck in echo chambers, and I think you're right. I appreciate the call, Phil. 7827 says, I lock my doors when I go to Wayne County.
I can't sleep without locking my door. What?
No, I don't. It's hey, 2009 on the members nutrition text line said, not everyone in this country has 10 acres. Yep. Facts. It's 10:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at the Glock store. If you're not locking your doors, you should be visiting the Glock store. I'll tell you that much, because when it comes to protecting your family, the people that you love, your property, yourself, you need to have a firearm you trust and training to back it up. And you get both of those at the Glock store. My friends at the Glock store have the best spot to train, the Shoot 270 indoor ranges. I've never seen anything like it. I had trained before at the Lane ranges, but after my training session at the Glock store with the Shoot 270 indoor rooms with a private instructor, I'll never go back. I learned more in my first session at the Glock store than I learned in all of my Lane range sessions put together. And if you haven't been there, you should really check it out. Now, no matter what you need, if it's a firearm, if it's a performance part, or if it's the training, they have it all at the Glock store. In the back of the store, they actually have a Genius bar with their employees that's kind of like a Mac store except for guns. And these guys are dedicated to answering all of your questions, and they can answer all of them. So really, why would you go anywhere else when it comes to training and getting a firearm to protect you and your loved ones than the Glock store? I mean, just stop by the Glock store, talk to the people, look at the shooting rooms, and not just because I'm telling you to do it, but because it's up to you to protect your loved ones and your property. When an emergency happens, you're going to be wishing that you had that training. That's why the Glock store is there for you. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere.
I started work in the early 60s, and Tennessee had a deer stalking program already in place going, primarily from Clarksville Base within the Fort Campbell area. From that area, a lot of deer were stalked in Middle and West Tennessee, and then later on, we started taking deer from those areas and stalking other areas. So it was a progression. It moved pretty fast. The deer sometimes were faster than the stalkers were.
I bet that was pretty exciting, trying to trap those deer and move them and know that you're making a huge impact.
Well, we wasn't all that confident.
Oh, really?
Because a lot of the counties had dog problems. You know, they'd be wanting to dog the deer, and it didn't hold up under that kind of pressure. And we had to go back in and restock. And there was a lot of different types of law enforcement work that had to be done.
I hear you.
And the officers did a good job. And we talked to a lot of the judges, and they clamped down pretty hard on somebody poaching deer out there. Back then, we only put out 15 or 20 deer. It was critical. In fact, at that time, it could cost you your truck.
Yeah. It's an amazing success story. You hear folks saying, well, we didn't see a deer when I was a kid, and now you just have to walk out your back door and you got in a subdivision grazing or driving down the interstate highways or whatever, you see a deer just about every day.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if we're too efficient.
Some folks say back in the good old days, but I don't know. Right now, hunting and fishing is really good.
Fears of a recession have investors worried. We'll tell you what it's doing to the stock market and Americans back home coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. If you're worried about a recession and you like gambling, I have the best way for you to win some money.
What's that, brother?
You bet on the dudes in women's boxing in the Olympics.
Oh, man.
It's like this new domestic violence category that they have. I didn't know that they had it. But just now, another man has won a boxing match against a woman.
Soared to victory, as they put it.
Yes, Taiwan's Lin Yu-ting. He wasn't allowed to compete in the World Championships in 2023 because of the appendage below the waist, shall we say. But he just beat Uzbekistan's Sitora Turdibekova. This poor woman is like crying and being pummeled in the corner. Insanity.
It's got to stop, man.
It has to. It has to. Why is this okay? Who on the Olympics thought, yeah, whatever, let the dudes in? Seriously. Is anybody still watching the Olympics? Or is it completely canceled? Will the Olympics ever recover from what they've done this year? Part of me hopes not. Let that sport competition pass away. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, tracking excessive heat and humidity heading into the weekend. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Right now on Wall Street, stocks are tanking on the heels of today's jobs report, which has some investors worried the economy could be falling into a recession. Labor Department reporting this morning fewer than expected jobs were created last month, 114,000 compared to 185,000 expected. The unemployment rate is at its highest point in almost 3 years. All three of the major averages, Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ, are down more than 2%. Americans back home. Here's Sherry Preston.
National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan was there as 3 Americans who've been wrongfully held in Russia returned back to the U.S.
This was the United States of America at its best, working with our allies to bring our people home safe and also to help free freedom fighters, Russians who have fought for democracy in their country and who had been thrown in prison for treason or worse. To be able to be a part of that was truly one of the most extraordinary honors in my life.
The deal itself took months of planning, and Sullivan says President Biden was one of the key players in getting it done.
It would not have happened without him because it was his relationships with key allies that unlocked the elements we needed to put this deal together.
Evan Gerskovich, Paul Whelan, and Alsu Kamacheva are now at Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio, undergoing physical and mental testing and meeting with their families privately.
Back here in Tennessee, we have more details on a deadly situation involving police officers in downtown Memphis. Police say there was a crash involving 3 people, 2 officers and a driver of another vehicle. Around 3 o'clock this morning in Memphis, one of the officers and the driver of that other car are dead. The other officer is in critical condition. The driver of that other car had been shot. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
So, sorry. I was finishing up my bets on FanDuel for the male boxers going after the women. It's easy money. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram at Chris Hand on air. Or you can listen to the show wherever you go with the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, the 99.7 WTN app. And you can catch the podcast on Apple and Spotify. Got a couple of people waiting on the line. Let's go to Tom Davis. He wants to talk about Somali pirates. What's up, Tom?
Hey, Chris. How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. Yeah, so just wanted to come on here, first one, thank you for, letting me come on the show and your, vote of confidence in me. But the way ahead for me is I think I'm going to go to Africa and become a Somali pirate for a while.
Perfect.
Kidding, of course.
Yeah. Hey, man. Well, I'm bummed that you lost, but you fought a good fight. So hang your hat on that.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty excited about the numbers, really, and I'll just, kind of lean into it, apply some lessons learned, and we'll keep getting after it.
Hey, I appreciate you, Tom. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, you bet, Chris. Have a great day.
All right, Bye. You too. Later. Let's go to Bobby on line one. Let's talk about Kamala Harris. What's up, Bobby?
Hey, brother, I'd like to talk about everybody if I may, but hey, earlier this morning you was talking about Joey Reid. The first thing I'd like for her to do is give Trump some of his hair back. I noticed Trump's getting a little bald. She stole most of his hair. But let me ask you a question, brother.
Yeah.
Why does the Biden administration always give the enemy all of our money? I mean, look at him and Obama back, all the skids of money that they gave to Iran to not make a nuclear weapon. Do you think I'd worry about that? The first thing I'd do is do like Israel.
Yep.
I'd go over and just bomb the crap out of them. And another thing, a good friend of mine, you've probably heard of him, Chad Robichaud. Have you heard of him?
Yes. He's spoken at my church.
Hey, man, World Outreach, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. That's where I go. But Wednesday night he was there. And did you hear what he said about the money that we give to the Taliban every week?
Tell me.
Man, he said it was $80 billion a week, money going to the Taliban. Now, why are we giving the Taliban money, our tax money?
$80 billion a week?
Crazy.
You mean?
That's exactly. I mean, I could have it wrong, but I'm pretty sure he said 80 billion, and I don't think 80 million. You know what I mean? A week.
Yeah, I'll look up those digits. That seems extraordinarily high.
Check it out, brother, but I couldn't be too far off. But I'm going to tell you something else, and I'm going to get out of your way here. I've got a lot of black friends, and I mean a lot of them, and I'm going to tell you, you're going to be surprised that there's going to be many of them to vote for Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Many of them.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you.
I'm not going to be surprised. I've been up here since I started my show saying Donald Trump is going to get more of the black vote than any Republican in history. And I think that they're trying to still paint him as a racist, but I don't think anybody believes any of that. And I actually think I think the Kamala Harris, is she Indian or is she black comments is going to play exceptionally well in the black community, the Indian community, and the Hispanic community.
Well, Chris, you know yourself. She's the one that came out and said she was black, she was Indian, so it's all on her. We don't know who she is. She needs to go ahead and let us know. And also another thing, they need to check her out about the Epstein Island. Let's go check her out. Let people do their homework on that. I think they'll find a lot of stuff out about that. And, brother, I want to try to hook up with you down there at the church. You pretty much go Wednesday, Sundays, or? Yeah,
I'm usually there on Sundays. I think we're going Saturday night this week. Well, I got something lined up for the kids on Sunday. We got I hope they're not listening. If they're listening, Virginia, turn off the radio. I'm surprising them with monster truck tickets. They got like the Hot Wheels monster truck thing. So I'm taking the big kids on Sunday to monster trucks.
Well, brother, look here. I'm going to look you up. We love you. We appreciate everything you've been doing. Keep up the good work and check those numbers out, brother.
All right, I will. I appreciate you, Bobby.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
J.D. Vance was asked about the Kamala Harris Indian comment on CNN, and he just nails it. The comment isn't that she's not black. It's that she leans into identity politics when it's convenient, depending upon the audience she's in front of. And that's what J.D. Vance brought up on CNN when they tried to get him in a gotcha question. They said, as a father of biracial children, how do you feel about this? And he just doesn't take the bait.
The former president's comments yesterday to the National Association of Black Journalists where he said,
that Vice President Harris is, quote, all of a sudden black. As a father of 3 biracial children, did those comments give you pause at all?
They don't give me pause at all. Look, all he said is that Kamala Harris is a chameleon. She goes to Georgia 2 days ago. She was raised in Canada. She puts on a fake Southern accent. She is everything to everybody, and she pretends to be somebody different depending on which audience she's in front of. I think it's totally reasonable for the president to call that out, and that's all he did. I mean, look, she's running as a tough-on-crime prosecutor, even though she implemented open border policies. She's saying that she wants to support the police, yet she wanted to defund the police just 3 years ago. It's totally reasonable to call out the fact that she pretends to be somebody different depending on the audience she's talking to.
Yep, he nails it. I mean, those comments have been going viral online. Also going viral online, I don't know if you've seen this. Have you guys seen Kyle Rittenhouse? Have you seen the Kyle Rittenhouse video? Kyle Rittenhouse goes on the record and says he is not going to be voting for Donald Trump in November. He says he's going to be writing in Ron Paul. Interesting, isn't it? Listen to this.
Hi, I'm Kyle Rittenhouse, Outreach Director for Texas Gun Rights. A lot of people are upset that I said I'm going to be writing in Ron Paul for President of the United States. And that is true. I will be writing in Ron Paul. Unfortunately, Donald Trump had bad advisors making him bad on the Second Amendment, and that is my issue. If you cannot be completely uncompromisable on the Second Amendment, I will not vote for you, and I will write somebody else in. We need champions for the Second Amendment, or our rights will be eaten away and eroded each day. I support my decision, and I have no takebacks.
That's Kyle Rittenhouse on why he's not going to be voting for Donald Trump. Is he making perfect the enemy of the good? Listen, I don't like Trump's bump stock ban, and I think that everybody can agree with that. It was ridiculous. It was a knee-jerk reaction to the Las Vegas shooting, and I didn't like it. It's since been overturned, but is that a big enough issue to turn your back on Donald Trump when the state of the country is where we are right now with millions upon millions of illegal aliens coming across the border? We have a market that looks like it could collapse at any moment. You've seen the rate hike, the inflation stuff that's happening, or the rate cut that might be coming. People are in a panic about the financial institutions. People are in a panic about global stability. So you're just going to throw your vote away? I would really like to know what the audience thinks about that. Do you lose respect for Kyle Rittenhouse when he says he's not voting for Donald Trump because he's not strong enough on gun rights? Or do you respect Kyle Rittenhouse for standing his ground? 615-737-9986.
I like Rand Paul as much as the next guy. I think he's great. But
he said Ron Paul.
Ron Paul. I thought he said Rand Paul. That changes everything. Okay, I thought he said Rand Paul. Okay, now I can't defend him. Abort.
Uncompromisable on the Second Amendment, I will not vote for you, and I will write somebody else in. We need champions for the Second Amendment, or our rights will be eaten away and eroded each day.
It's a really weird take, especially for a kid who essentially was platformed by the Conservative Party for his actions in Waukesha, in Wisconsin, and Kenosha, not Waukesha, Kenosha. People stood up for this guy. People had his back. Donald Trump had his back, took pictures with him. And now he's not going to vote. And essentially, Kyle Rittenhouse has been making money nonstop off of that incident in Kenosha. Not knocking him for it, make your money. But he's been platformed by organizations like Turning Point, and he's been platformed by, I think YAF has had him on a few, the Young Americans have had him on a few panels, and he's been making all this money. Since he made those comments last night, he's lost 20,000 followers on Twitter. Is that fair? Do you respect that he's standing his ground on this issue, or do you think that he's actually being a complete fool? Let's go to Danny in the Borough. Your thoughts on Kyle Rittenhouse, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, good. Again, good for the kid for standing up for himself. That's what he's done all along, right? But I think that this speaks to a little bit of a larger issue. He is a kid, right? He was a kid when everything that happened in Kenosha happened. He's a kid now. And I can appreciate that people who think and believe and see the world the way that I do want to support someone who was in his position, and we did that, and everyone came together, and I believe there was a just outcome to what happened in the courtroom proceedings.
Same.
But the idol worship that politically minded people just fall into when someone agrees with them on one thing is so toxic and disgusting to me. We shouldn't care what this kid has to say. We just shouldn't care. We supported him when he needed it, and that was that, and that's all. And because he did the right thing in one instance and then stood his ground on it does not mean that anything else that he has to say on any subject is relevant.
I like that take. I like the take. Do you feel like he's
appreciate you, brother.
Hey, appreciate you,
Yeah,
man.
go ahead.
I was going to say, do you feel like he's just been grifting now that he's changed his stance?
It's impossible for someone at that maturity level not to become a grifter with that amount of money and fame and notoriety. Again, with the baseless idol worship of someone who we agreed with on one thing one time, this kid's now affecting the way a large swath of the Republican electorate thinks for no reason. He's a kid. He knows nothing. He knee-jerk reacted in a life or death situation, and I'm so happy he's here today, and I'm so happy that that courtroom, everything in that case played out the way that it did. But that doesn't mean that this kid, it just doesn't, he shouldn't be in a position where he's got tens of millions of dollars and all of this notoriety and people listening to him on a platform. There's no reason for it. There just isn't.
Appreciate the call, Danny. Thanks so much, man. I tend to agree.
Hi, I'm Kyle Rittenhouse, Outreach Director for Texas Gun Rights. A lot of people are upset that I said I'm going to be writing in Ron Paul for President of the United States. And that is true. I will be writing in Ron Paul. Unfortunately, Donald Trump had bad advisors making him bad on the Second Amendment, and that is my issue. If you cannot be completely uncompromisable on the Second Amendment, I will not vote for you, and I will write somebody else in.
So he's not going to vote for Trump because of bad advisors. Bad advisors. 5916 on the members nutrition text line. Rittenhouse is a dumb little kid. Hope he enjoys Kamala's 2A policies. 9192, a vote for Harris is a vote for bio men to beat up on girls. 4209, why doesn't he write it in Lincoln? He's throwing his vote away if that's the case. Kyle is showing coward behavior from our friend Freedom Rider, who is a Red Pilled Mom Club member. 9114, does he not realize a write-in vote is a vote for Harris? I think he should realize that. I think he should. And 1440 says, I think Kyle is overplaying his hand. I'm pro-gun, not an extremist, but that's his identity now. It is. It is. Wild. Corey in the borough, your thoughts on Kyle Rittenhouse?
Well, first of all, I think he's getting too much credit. He was an extraordinary gentleman in an extraordinary situation, and they're put too much stock on what he thinks. I think his decision to do what he did was just based off of bump stocks. I don't think he's really thinking it through. It's more money in his pocket kind of thing that he's being influenced by, or he's being swayed. But I just don't think people should have too much stock into what he says, not just because of his age, because I don't think that's a thing, because if that was, then Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro's of the world wouldn't matter, because you can be smart and be young. It's a fact.
Yeah.
So, and then if you had a second, I had a quick funny story that I had yesterday when I got done voting, or while I was voting in Rutherford County at Christiana Middle School. I was in line to get my ticket, and in front of me were two older gentlemen, well into their mid-60s, and they were talking about how they left California and New York. And then I hear them talking, and all of a sudden it's their turn to ask for their ballot, and they ask for Democratic tickets. And I thought to myself I should say something, but I didn't, only because I want to be respectful, do my thing, and get out. Yeah. But I was just thinking, here you are complaining about it, and the gentleman even said, L.A. is a state of its own.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say, not according to Gavin Newsom, my friend. Yeah. And here you are in Tennessee asking for a Democratic ticket. But I reframed it.
Hey, so. to be fair, at least they're not influencing the Republican primary if they're coming back with those kind of thoughts.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
but Kyle Rittenhouse, he does have some influence. I mean, the kid has over 1 million followers on Twitter. He's got a young audience. He's going across to colleges all over the country and speaking. since those comments that he's not voting for Trump, essentially because of the bump stock ban, he's lost 20,000 followers on Twitter. I don't think that's nearly enough. And I want to get your thoughts. Steve in Prospect, what do you think on Kyle?
I think he's wrong. Basically, there is no middle ground on this. You're either for the Second Amendment or you're not for the Second Amendment. By voting for somebody who is definitely by not voting for somebody who has a chance of passing something on the Second Amendment, you're throwing that out the window, and you're going to go for somebody who is absolutely, not Ron Paul, but the fact that Ron isn't even running. You're throwing the vote away. There's no middle ground. It's either you vote for somebody who has a chance with the Second Amendment, or you give it to the other side, which definitely wants to do away with the Second Amendment. I'm from Connecticut originally, and I can tell you right now, I left because of what they did in 2013 in Congress and their legislative offices. So I have a dog in this race. I'm definitely voting for Trump.
I appreciate the call, man. I'm with you, Steve. Thanks so much. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. It has been so hot. Oh, my gosh. If your AC isn't working the way it should be right now, you're feeling it. And what do? Well, you call my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Maybe you just need a little annual maintenance to get done. That way it'll be running at maximum peak efficiency. Maybe you got something that needs to be replaced or repaired. Whatever it is, call the guys who I trust. And if you do need to replace your AC, you're not going to find a better value on replacement systems. They're offering up to 12 months with no payment, no interest, with approved credit. And for the month of August, they have a back-to-school special as well on the Beehive Club membership. It's buy one, get one for you and a teacher. Isn't that awesome? So, while some kids are bringing apples for the first day of school or maybe flowers or balloons, you can bring a Beehive Club membership. And it'll come with 3 annual tune-ups, one for your heating, one for your cooling, one for your plumbing, a 10% discount on all repairs, priority front-of-the-line service, a $100 annual accrued replacement credit with a maximum of $1,000, no overtime or holiday fees, and exclusive Beehive member promotions. Kids, if you're listening, you're about to start school, there is no better way to start off your relationship with your new teacher on the right foot than by bringing a Beehive Club membership. I'm just telling you, that's the way to do it. Call Busy Bee today. You're a Rude Pro partner for satisfaction guaranteed. Call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. 615-775-7833. 615-775-7833. For the month of August, buy one, get one on a Beehive Club membership for you and a teacher or a faculty member or a coach. BusyBeeHVAC.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Well, they have cleared that crash that was tying up eastbound at 24, but still trying to recover. But it is moving a lot better now. The backup starts right there at the 40 split. And investors are worried about a recession. We'll tell you what it's doing to Wall Street coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's 11:25 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Do you remember that story I was talking about a few days ago with ActBlue? ActBlue and James O'Keefe has been exposing them. They're apparently having weird amounts of donations with senior citizens that have donated to them before, totaling a lot of money. So you got stuff like a woman in Virginia donating thousands upon thousands of time in a year, totaling hundreds of thousands of dollars, and she's on a fixed income, and she's like, I don't know where these donations come from. It wasn't me. James O'Keefe has been exposing a lot of this with OMG Media. He used to be with Project Veritas. Well, Senator Marco Rubio was asked about how we stop that, and he actually brought up an interesting wrinkle in the ActBlue scandal, which is now being investigated by the Virginia Attorney General. ActBlue is the fundraising arm of the Democrat Party, and apparently when they do their donations, they don't ask for the CVV code on the card, and Senator Marco Rubio says that's how they're getting away with a lot of this money laundering, and this is him kind of expanding upon that thought.
Yeah, in the back of everyone's credit card, we get asked for it all the time. There's this code called the CVV code, and it allows you to track that account and where it's located. And ActBlue, we use it. When Red uses it, everybody else uses it, but you can donate money, thousands of dollars to ActBlue without your CVV code on it. And so I want to pass a law that requires that all these online donations using credit cards require a CVV, so we can make sure that that person is actually in the United States and eligible to contribute. Otherwise, you could have some credit card in China basically putting millions of dollars in small dollar donations into political campaigns in America. ActBlue has become a money laundering operation, and because they don't take the CVV. It's a deliberate strategy on their part. We should have a law that closes that. I've been trying to get it passed, and as you can imagine, the reason the Democrats oppose it is because ActBlue opposes it. Shows that some seniors, if they had to put CVVs, they had to use that code from their credit card, their donations would go.
I think you're onto something, Senator, here. I really believe that there is a flow of tens of millions of dollars of foreign money that is coming into our election system in hard money, small dollar chunks via ActBlue. That's just a suspicion. It feels that way. It seems that way. There's too many pieces of evidence. And I hope you stay on the case there, Senator, because I believe if we're able to stop that, the Democrats will lose a lot of their cash advantage. Senator, thank you for your leadership. Hope to see you.
So they're saying that they don't take the CVV code in the ActBlue donations, which is wild. And Charlie Kirk makes the point, he thinks that maybe it's foreign money coming in. But James O'Keefe broke this story wide open. Cindy No of Annapolis, Maryland, allegedly contributed over 1,000 times to ActBlue in 2022, totaling over $18,000. But if you're donating over 1,000 times in a year, that means you're donating 3 times a day, every day for the entire year.
FEC data shows that some senior citizens across the U.S. have been donating thousands of times per year. Some of these individuals' names and addresses are attached to over $200,000 in contributions. We went and knocked on a few of their doors to corroborate the data that we received. We're wondering if these donors are victims of what appears to be a money laundering scheme. Cindy No of Annapolis, Maryland, who in the year 2022 allegedly contributed over 1,000 times to ActBlue, totaling $18,849.77. That means Cindy would have had to donate 3 times a day, every day for the whole year. My name's James O'Keefe, and we're doing a story on the number of people that have donated. You did donate to ActBlue, right?
Once in a while.
What about $18,850?
No, I don't think so.
You know people are using your address?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Well, the Virginia Attorney General is investigating this story, and it's something that I'm going to stay on top of, because I think that if the Democrats are laundering money, that would explain a lot of the fundraising totals being thrown at Kamala Harris, which have been exorbitant, to say the least. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Excessive heat and humidity. Tell you about it during the forecast in 2 minutes. Investors are worried about a recession. Jim Ryan with the latest on Wall Street.
An anemic 114,000 new non-farm positions were created last month. Employment analysts expected the number to be closer to 175,000, 61,000 above where it actually landed. It comes after a June in which 206,000 jobs were added. The stock market has responded to the jobs report with a deep sell-off. Losses for the Dow Jones this morning were over 900 points. The S&P and NASDAQ were showing similar percentage declines, around 2.3%.
3 Americans wrongly detained in Russia arriving safely in Texas to start the next phase of their journey following a massive multi-nation prisoner swap. Mary Bruce.
The 3 Americans wrongfully detained in Russia arriving safely in Texas to begin the next phase of their journey.
I'm glad I'm home. Yeah. I'm never going back there again.
The 3 now set to undergo medical evaluations after being in Russian custody, some for months, others for years.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
I started work in the early 60s, and Tennessee had a deer stalking program already in place going, primarily from Clarksville Base within the Fort Campbell area. From that area, a lot of deer were stalked in Middle and West Tennessee, and then later on, we started taking deer from those areas and stalking other areas. So it was a progression. It moved pretty fast. The deer sometimes were faster than the stalkers were.
I bet that was pretty exciting trying to trap those deer and move them and know that you're making a huge impact.
Well, we wasn't all that confident.
Oh, really?
Because a lot of the counties had dog problems. You know, they'd be wanting to dog the deer, and it didn't hold up under that kind of pressure. And we had to go back in and restock. And there was a lot of different types of law enforcement work that had to be done.
I hear you.
And the officers did a good job. And we talked to a lot of the judges, and they clamped down pretty hard on somebody poaching deer out there. Back then, we only put out 15 or 20 deer. It was critical. In fact, at that time, it could cost you your truck.
Yeah. It's an amazing success story. You hear folks saying, well, we didn't see a deer when I was a kid, and now you just have to walk out your back door and you got in a subdivision grazing or driving down the interstate highways or whatever, you see a deer just about every day.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if we're too efficient.
Some folks say back in the good old days, but I don't know. Right now, hunting and fishing is really good.
11:36 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. You can find the videos for a lot of the audio that we play on the show on my Twitter account, @ChrisHandOnAir. Hit the follow button. I'll follow back. I do my best to try and sift through everybody following and follow the real ones. Even since Elon took over, there's still a lot of bots on Twitter. So if you got a weird username, just shoot me a DM and I'll make sure I follow you. As we continue, we're going to kind of focus on 2024. A lot of the polling has been favorable for Kamala Harris. A lot of the polling has been favorable for Donald Trump. I guess it depends on which poll you look at, right? There's been a lot of excitement. A lot of people just jazzed up that Joe Biden's not in the race anymore on the Democrat side. They're not jazzed up for Kamala. They're jazzed up that Joe Biden isn't dragging down the ticket anymore. So what can we learn from the polling? Well, Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen Polls was giving just a fantastic interview on Real America's Voice, and I caught this interview, and I thought it was really great. This guy is kind of breaking down what we're seeing in the polls and how currently the way it stands right now, we're almost identical to where we were before the debate between Trump and Biden. The polling looks almost identical. So I wanted to bring this audio to you, and you can hear how this guy breaks it down.
Is still beating Kamala Harris by 5 points in a two-way matchup. Now, we all have to acknowledge that the switcheroo happened barely more than 10 or 11 days ago. Hasn't been a lot of time to get a lot of data out. We had Trump winning over Kamala Harris last week after only 3 nights of data by 7 points. But in our opinion, it was a little too soon. And I think you saw that a lot of people rushed to put polls out. Some polls that had Kamala Harris up were cherry picked, and a lot of attention was given to those. As far as I know, that's only Morning Consult and Reuters Ipsos. And I think there's reasons that you could look at those polls internals and say that's really not what's happening. But what I have, I can go into the demographics, but I have a really important chart. I'd love for Denver to put up chart 2, which shows what I call the Obama bounce. Now, what Trump has basically done is survived a coordinated info op to try and paint Kamala Harris as super likable, super competent, a lot of coordinated media attention.
Trump has survived the Obama bounce. And he puts up this chart, and you can literally see in real time on these polls where the Obama endorsement came in. Remember the fabricated fake phone call? Oh my gosh, I didn't know you were going to be calling me. We're so lucky to have all these cameras around and you're on speakerphone. We remember that there was a spike in polling for Kamala Harris at that point, the Obama bump. But he goes on to say that since then, it's really settled down.
A lot of coordinated attacks at Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. But if you look at, here's every night of polling we put out, you could kind of consider each of these as like mini polls. And the first set we put out with Trump up 7 was based on the 22nd through the 24th. You can actually see people's opinions forming in real time. They were caught off guard. They really had no idea what was happening. And Trump took a 16-point lead over Kamala Harris. Next night, it was down to 6. And if we had done a poll on the 24th and 25th, we actually would have showed Donald Trump losing slightly to Kamala Harris. Now, that's right about the time she got the Obama endorsement. But since then, what you can see is Donald Trump has steadily clawed that lead back, and he's up 4 points on the 30th, 5 points on the 31st. And I think what you're seeing there on the chart is literally her bounce fading and Donald Trump settling back into what's probably a 4 to 5 point lead right now. And we're going to continue to pull this to keep tracking it.
Donald Trump is settling into a 4 to 5 point lead. Now, it's also important to point out that this really mirrors where we were before the debate, and I think that the polling is going to go way in favor of Trump once we do get a debate. Once you get word salad Harris up there, it's only going to help Donald Trump.
That is comfortably outside the margin of error, in line where other good pollsters have him. I think we're polling pretty close to Harvard-Harris right now, and that's pretty much the best they can do. I think it's all downhill for them from here on out. Of course, she'll get a lot of positive coverage during the DNC. Who knows what's going to happen there? But to me, the headline is Trump is winning comfortably. And before all of this happened, in polls that had him winning comfortably, he was winning in every single swing state. So it's Trump's race right now, in my opinion.
That's Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen Polls. It's Trump's race to win right now. And we're seeing coordinated media, as he points out, to paint Kamala Harris as lovable, likable, competent. We know the truth. But that's not going to stop anytime soon. Michelle Obama has launched a celebrity-studded Get Out the Vote video, a few days after announcing that she's backing Kamala Harris. Michelle Obama has enlisted Steph Curry, actress Kerry Washington, soccer player Megan Rapinoe. I don't know, would you consider Megan Rapinoe a celebrity? I wouldn't consider Megan Rapinoe a celebrity, but the leftists, they do. And in the video she posted to her Instagram account for the organization When We All Vote, which was launched by Obama in 2018, the First Lady is seen calling the celebrity saying, "Hey, it's Michelle. Are you voting this year?" Okay. And then all the celebrities are like, "Yes, absolutely." Okay. Are people going to fall for the celebrity endorsements? Maybe. There are low information voters out there. One guy that's not falling for it is tech CEO David Marcus. He's actually reversed course and endorsed Trump after years of voting for Dems. And I'm seeing a lot more stories like this these days than I am of leftists really jumping on the Kamala Harris bandwagon. You're seeing a lot of people who had really serious TDS coming around. Michael Rappaport is another one. He's come around. And he said disgusting, vile things about Donald Trump over the past, 8 years, just nonstop. And even he's like, yeah, I was wrong. I was wrong about Trump on Israel. I was wrong about Trump on the economy. We're seeing that all over the place. But the CEO and co-founder of the tech company Lightspark, David Marcus, has decided to vote for Trump after voting for Democrats for all these years. And he posted a long explanation on Twitter. And one of the points of this, I can't read the whole thing because it's just so long, but he says, "I believe we need a president who is unequivocally pro-America, the Constitution, business, Bitcoin, crypto, innovation, Israel, small government, legal immigration, free speech, meritocracy, common sense." Well, who do you think he's talking about? He's not talking about Kamala Harris. He says he also needs somebody that's anti-regulatory proliferation, anti-illegal immigration, anti-unjust wars, anti-Iran's current regime, anti-domestic groups that oppose American values. And all of these issues are central to President Trump's platform. He does say, naturally, I disagree with Trump and the GOP on some issues, particularly women's reproductive rights. While I've come to learn that extreme views exist in both parties, I firmly believe that women should have the unalienable right to make their own decisions on this polarizing topic. President Trump confirmed he was against the national abortion ban and supported the Supreme Court's decision on maintaining access to mifepristone, which was reassuring and a sign that the party was moving closer to the center. Everybody says Trump's got to appeal to moderates. He has to appeal to moderates. On this critical issue, he has. He's given it back to the states. And I know a lot of pro-life activists really dislike Trump's stance on that. But we got to be willing to play the long game and move the chains down the field, especially on the abortion argument. We're never going to win that one overnight. So I think that reasonable take is helping win over a lot of these middle-of-the-road independents. But he's winning people over. And the left is trying to recruit celebrities. And they're using talking points like weird. Oh, they're weird. Because they have nothing else to stand on. They used weird on CNN and MSNBC 300 times in one day. In one day. J.D. Vance was out campaigning in Nevada with veteran Sam Brown. He's running for the U.S. Senate in Nevada. And Sam Brown he's disfigured because of an explosion while he was serving. And, it's sad that he has to go through life like that. But Democrats on Twitter called him weird for his scars. and the way he looks. And it's like, what a slimy talking point. Sam Brown actually released a statement after being called weird by leftists and Democrats because of his scars.
Hey guys, Sam Brown here. We had an incredible day on the campaign trail, but I got home tonight and saw an interesting message from the Democrats here calling my face weird. It's not the first time, and it probably won't be the last time that I've been called weird because of my scars. And I don't even really have a message for them. I have a message for anyone else out there who has been labeled or called weird because of the experiences that you've had. Whether it's visible like my scars or maybe invisible scars, we're all unique. We've all been given gifts, and we have people out there that want to label us based off of that. And so my message to you, to those of you who have been put down by others, is do not allow them to define you.
So that was Sam Brown's response to being called weird by leftist radicals on the internet. Sam Brown, again, he's running for the U.S. Senate in Nevada. I hope he wins. His burns occurred in 2008 in Afghanistan when he heard that a nearby platoon had been ambushed. So Brown led his team to provide support. And when they entered the engagement area of battle, roadside bomb detonated under his vehicle's fuel tank. He was drenched in diesel fuel, covered in flames, and he was lucky enough to escape alive. And leftists don't see his service as anything other than weird. And they roast him on the internet. This is all they have. This is all they have. And it's backfiring. It's backfiring. And good. It's encouraging to see that they can't stand on any issue. They have no leg to stand on any issue. And so the leftists have resorted to name calling, whether it's, oh, you're a racist. Oh, you're a sexist. Oh, you're weird. Keep going. Keep going, and we'll keep winning on every single issue. It's 11:48 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The freed Americans back on U.S. soil. The jobs report is out, and it's not very good. And a sex offender in Tennessee back in jail just one day after being released on another charge. We'll have those stories at noon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay Harper. JBC News is in the building. It's 11:55 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris. Thanks for tuning into the show. I got a couple stories I want to run through that I haven't had a chance to. Did you hear what Snapchat did? Snapchat refused to reinstate Donald Trump's account. Now, I don't know if anybody's really using Snapchat anymore. I think it's losing influence fast as far as social media platform goes. But Snapchat was one of those accounts that banned Trump after the insurrection. So they're refusing to reinstate Donald Trump on Snapchat. And then they shamelessly asked the Trump campaign to purchase ads. So he's too radical for his own account, but he's absolutely welcome to spend money there. In an email to Trump's campaign, Snapchat said they had asked if they could reinstate his account. Snapchat said, "I hope you had a nice weekend. I spoke with our policy team to provide a bit more context. They made the difficult decision to terminate President Trump's public profile in 2021 after multiple policy violations. Unfortunately, our terms of service do not allow for reinstatement for terminated users to create new accounts. Reinstating the profile would involve reassessing and implementing entirely new terms of service, and we are unable to give preferential treatment to any creator on the platform." And then the social media platform asked the Trump campaign for money via ads. "I would love to explore alternative paths forward for our partnership, even given the current state of the profile. If the team is skeptical about launching paid media without an organic presence, we highly recommend using the RNC's profile or creating a new Vance profile. Eager to hear your thoughts. Thank you for your understanding and visibility." So Snapchat refuses to reinstate President Trump's account still after all of these years because of the insurrection. But they are fine. They're fine with them spending money in the ad department. And Snapchat's been under fire for years, linked to fueling teen anxiety via its friend ranking feature. It's part of its paid subscription service, which quantifies teen users' social status within their friend group. It's a lousy platform, and nobody uses it. Donald Trump doesn't either, but I just thought that was hilarious. We can't allow you on because you violated our terms of service. However, we would like you to buy ads. Please buy ads. Still in the tech space, Senator Roger Marshall has launched an investigation into Google after the tech giants omitted Trump assassination attempt from the autocomplete feature. They say Google's failure to provide suggestions related to the assassination attempt of President Trump on July 13th, 2024, as part of its search function is yet another example of censorship against conservative voices, and it violates the intent of Section 230. So Senator Roger Marshall out of Kansas announced a couple days ago he's launching a full investigation into the censorship and bias conducted by Google that is constructing the free flow of information. I think they meant to write constricting there, not constructing, following the assassination attempt. And he sent a letter to the Google CEO, Sundar Pichai. Is that how you say it? Pichai? You say tomato, I say tomato. Marshall said that Google's failure to provide suggestions related to the assassination attempt is yet another example of censorship against conservative voices and violates Section 230. Marshall stated that Google's omission of the assassination attempt is willful discrimination against President Trump and users of your search engine. Furthermore, Google's decision to selectively erect hurdles to those seeking to obtain more information regarding one of the most important events in American history places you in the role of information arbiter, well beyond the scope of your firm's purported purpose. We'll keep an eye on this story. I think it's good that they're going after him. You know, where's the best place to hide a dead body? It's the second page of Google search results. It's 12 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.